I think the issue at the moment is the cause of the protesters is against a government that has tried to push through an amnesty bill that would grant amnesty to a corrupt former Prime Minister, the brother of the current Prime Minister. They are protesting against a government that is refusing to accept the verdict of the Constitutional Court when they were found to have fake documents and be involved in fraudulent voting in Parliament. And therefore there's a lot of anger and demand now for the government to show responsibility. So the number one priority now, I think, to defuse the situation is that the Prime Minister and the government needs to show that responsibility, to show accountability in the system. Now the protest has been going on for a month.
Prime Minister,
it has been largely non-violent, and what they are doing is they are organizing sit-ins as a symbolic gesture that the government no longer has the legitimacy to run the country. The violence that erupted during the weekend resulted from government supporters being mobilized and instigated by members of this government and actually caused losses for the first time. You have to remember that this protest drew record crowd over the last month without any violence. The best way forward now is the government to take that first step to show accountability.
Okay, but what is happening on the streets is clearly that the opposition, the leaders of the protests are calling for action to take over government buildings. What I want to say to you, or what I want to put to you, is this any way for a democracy to be acting, to basically call for the standing down of a democratically elected government to be replaced by an unelected People's Committee? Is that democracy?
I don't think it's democracy when leaders of the government, even though they are elected, try to put themselves above the law. That's the basic issue. Now the people who are taking to the streets, some of them taking these sit-in actions, they have said that they will accept the legal consequences of their action. It's a form of civil disobedience. And unlike 2010, these protesters are unarmed. And they are willing to accept legal consequences, unlike the government and also the former Prime Minister, who have refused to accept the law.
But as you pointed out at the beginning of this, the trigger for this has been an amnesty push by the government, which, if it had been passed, would have allowed the former Prime Minister, Thaksin Shinawatra, to have returned to Thailand. That bill was rejected by the Senate. So that process means that the issue of Thaksin returning is now no longer on the table, correct? So why do